Midas and Oro have the exact same scar.
Yep.
They also have the exact same golden ability thing.
Yep.
Just to be clear, they even have similar names to the original King Midas in the Golden Touch story.
Yep.
Well, if that's the case, they must be the same person, right?
Nope. Different people.
Okay, that skit is pretty much my entire life trying to figure out the Fortnite story. But without further ado, these are 10 Fortnite storyline myths. Number 10. When Season 2 first began, we were introduced to a character named Midas. You might know him considering he's the most important character in Season 2. Here's the thing, there's a character who's existed longer than Midas that's been a huge mystery for a very long time. In Season 1, a skin was leaked in the files called Oro, the Golden King. Immediately, people started to notice that Oro and Midas had something in common, the exact same scar going across their eyes. It didn't take long for a massive theory to spread like wildfire saying Midas and Oro are the same person. It makes sense, they share the same scar, and Oro's a part of the cosmetic set called Midas's Revenge. Not to mention the fact that Oro quote-unquote awakened halfway through Season 2 with his challenges. So, if you pair this with the fact that Ghost and Shadow were like alternate versions of each other in Season 1, it did make sense that Oro and Midas are the same person. But what if I told you they are actually not the same person at all, and everything could be debunked the same way it was explained, with the scar? You see, Midas and Oro do indeed have the same scar, but it's not because they're the same person or even related at all. When Midas arrived on the island, he didn't have the power of the Golden Touch. This was proven by the statue on his yacht where he has no scar. If you pair this with the fact that Oro actually has a variant with no golden powers, you could actually find a small hidden backstory. Midas captured Oro and stole his Golden Touch powers, as proven by the drained variant as well as Oro's staff being found in Midas's office. Oro was also found in the Shark prison owned by Ghost, as you can find a calendar on the wall which highlights the exact days that Oro's reawakening challenges were live. I mean, also just to spoil it, the description of the Midas's Revenge set is literally harness his power and get revenge now, which kinda nails the coffin. Because of this, as well as the fact that there is no evidence at all of Oro and Midas being the same person, we'll consider this theory a big fat myth. What's weird is this isn't the biggest Midas myth out there. It's time we look back at one of our storyline videos and correct something Epic Games themselves decided to change. Number 9. So one theory we at Top 5 Gaming came up with ourselves spread faster than we expected. With the whole Midas and Oro situation, it was always connected by the fact that Oro is in the Midas's Revenge cosmetic set. So what if you took it one step further? Because if you actually looked in that set, you would have spotted the Wrath skin and the exact same thing. How is this connected? Well, when we saw it, we immediately tried to figure out why it was in there. I mean, if Wrath is involved in Midas's Revenge, what could that mean? If you go to Wrath's description in the locker, it simply states that he's the warden of the underworld. Naturally, you could guess that this means that Midas probably arranged a deal with Wrath, as he of course rules the underworld. I mean, what if Midas actually died sometime before Season 2 and did a deal with Wrath so he could be resurrected? That kind of would explain why Midas is building a Doomsday Device and is getting revenge, because he's getting payback on whoever killed him, and the deal with Wrath could be to go collect souls in order to trade them for his own. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, the Doomsday Device would then give Wrath a ton of souls and allow Midas to keep living. When we came up with it, it sounded like a really solid theory, except it is not true. Not a shred of it, actually, because after we thought of it, Epic Games kindly went into the Fortnite files and removed Wrath from Midas's Revenge set. Apparently, they added him in there as an accident, and he wasn't supposed to be in that set. But not even this myth tops the list. Number 8. For a while now, we've known about a mysterious character in the Chapter 2 storyline only known in the files as the Engineer. That's not her actual name, but it's a working title. You can only spot her on a photo over on Midas's desk in his secret office right in front of the Doomsday Device. Looking closely, you could spot a Shadow logo. There's not much else to go on at the moment, but it's been driving me crazy. Why is there a photo of her in Midas's room? I mean, don't you think it's weird that a Shadow member's picture is on the desk of the leader of Ghost? Well, if you didn't know by now, Midas is actually inspired by an old Greek legend, the one of King Midas, an ancient ruler who was extremely wealthy but also greedy. Despite being rich, King Midas wanted more, so he wished for anything that he touched to turn to gold. He touched all the roses in his garden as well as his palace, and everything turned to gold. At first, King Midas in the legend was extremely overjoyed with this newfound power, until he soon realized he could not have food or drink without it turning to gold. Very quickly, it became a curse. In some versions of the story, that's where it ends. Midas can't eat or drink and he dies. But one of the most popular versions of the tale tells about his daughter, who goes to hug him and is turned to gold herself. Because of that, many people believe that the engineer was Midas' daughter, and he has a photo of her on his desk because he might have turned her to gold and is getting revenge on the person who cursed him with the golden touch. I mean, it makes perfect sense until you realize that Fortnite Midas isn't exactly mythology Midas. First, the legend is about him being cursed with the touch, while in Fortnite, Midas stole the powers from Oro, the Golden King. Not to mention that the engineer is clearly a member of Shadow, and that wouldn't make sense if she was Midas' daughter. Also, if she was turned to gold, why is she just a photo and not one of the many golden statues in Midas' office? I could keep going, but it's easier to just show you that she's alive. Here's the leak loading screen for the Doomsday event, and if you look closely, you could actually see her reflection in the glass right here. If she's alive, it means she isn't his daughter. Consider this one debunked. Number 7. Just a while ago, I brought up some gold statues in Midas' office. If you don't know about them, you can see them in the Battle Pass lobby when you go to Midas' room. Around the area, there are a ton of golden statues resembling familiar faces such as Peely, you got Lynx, and more. Like the original tale of Midas, you'd assume that he turned these people to gold, and therefore they are, well, confirmed dead in the storyline. I mean, you have people on his wall such as Chaos Agent, Lynx, and more. This means that those people are dead. Think about it, we haven't heard anything from them all season, so it could be that they were indeed destroyed by Midas. Well, that would be true if we didn't have Agent Peely spying on the room from behind the painting, which confirms he is not dead. Not to mention that Lynx is somehow a helmet on the wall as well as a statue, which makes no sense. Combine that with the new Vic skin, which is pretty much just Lynx without her metal armor and a different haircut, so even though her suit is turned to gold and her helmet is gold, she's still kicking somehow. Fortnite themselves just confirmed recently that Chaos Agent is still alive when he came back to the item shop with the teaser, "This isn't his final form." Like, what's that supposed to mean? What do you guys think this final form could be? And so yeah, all these people being dead, confirmed, debunked. Number 6. Earlier in the season, we kept bringing up our theory that Shadow was going to end up storming the agency and officially take it over. Throughout the course of Season 2, Shadow has one by one been taking over all of the ghost-controlled locations and replacing it with Shadow henchmen. Every single one. Until eventually, the agency is the only ghost territory remaining. Naturally, we said that this was going to end with Shadow storming the agency. We were right. A few weeks ago, Storm the Agency challenges went live with a loading screen showing this exact thing, but the agency itself remained unchanged. And even though there were actually leaks in the files of a Shadow-owned agency, this picture right here, it's odd that Ghost still controls it. So while storming the agency was a thing that happened, they never took over the agency. The weird thing is, the files of the Shadow Agency version were actually removed from the game and eventually replaced with a completely different version of the building. This version. It's a totally destroyed agency that we'll probably be seeing after the live event on Monday, which brings us to our next myth, the Doomsday Device and what it'll do. Number 5. When random hatches began appearing around the agency earlier in Season 2, all of us were super confused. Naturally, data miners dive straight into the files and discover that these hatches belong to something much bigger, codenamed the Doomsday Device. It's this device which has led the season's storyline for months now. I mean, literally the second we heard about the Doomsday Device, pretty much everyone was set on this thing, of course, bringing Doomsday to the island. And what's the first thing you think of when you hear the word Doomsday? That's right, apocalypse. So this thought, along with the hatches, made us think of either bunkers or missile silos. Those hint at the Doomsday Device being some type of large bomb. But worry not, because the Doomsday Device won't actually explode. Instead, it'll do one of two things. Control the weather, or it's an energy source that will create Cyclo, a suit that gives the person wearing it the ability to wield the power of the storm. Could do both also. We know this not only from live event file leaks, but also the book in Midas' office and the fact that Season 3's actual theme is, of course, a Great Flood. It was even leaked on the PlayStation Store. So yeah, the Doomsday Device is not a bomb. Confirmed, debunked. But speaking of a Great Flood. Number 4. I'll keep this one short. A lot of people wonder about the Great Flood coming to Fortnite and what exactly is going to happen to the island come Season 3. Because of this, a popular guess is that the entire island is going to be flooded. A PlayStation leak of Season 3 literally just shows all water under the battle bus, so it kind of suggests that the entire thing is going to be underwater. Although you have to understand that Fortnite is first and foremost a video game, and being completely underwater, well, I mean, come on, let's be real, it wouldn't be fun or playable. Kind of one of those things where you get it for a week and then immediately you're like, okay, we need to go back. Now, while this isn't officially confirmed by Epic Games, you could bet on the fact that the entire island more than likely won't be submerged in all of Season 3. Maybe a massive chunk of it, maybe it'll be fully submerged for a few days, but we're gonna guess that the water will actually change and move throughout the season, both draining and also opening up new places. If you want my take on it, eventually it should return to normal by the time Season 4 comes, or whatever normal will be by then. Number 3. During the Travis Scott astronomical event, pretty much everyone noticed that the final moments of the concert actually had us flying above the island from Fortnite Chapter 1. Because of this, people threw around theories, speculation, but mostly lots of clickbait that this was confirmation of us going back to the Chapter 1 island in Season 3 or 4. As you probably already know by now, this is not true. I don't think we'll be going back to the Chapter 1 island for a long time if we ever do, and Chapter 3 and even 4 will probably bring a new map each time. Epic spent a lot of time making the Chapter 2 island, and trust me when I say they're gonna stick with it for a while. Because of this and the fact that, well, Season 3 isn't on the old map, it's already obvious that this was just a myth. Donald Mustard, creative director at Epic Games, said it himself, they're just Easter eggs. Number 2. Speaking of Chapter 1, there was something which puzzled a lot of players back in the earlier seasons of Fortnite, and it was a mysterious large dinosaur footprint which could be found on the island. This footprint was the source of so much clickbait and speculation that eventually people just began to assume it was an actual piece of the Fortnite storyline which hinted dinosaurs being on the island. Not even joking, even news websites began to cover it. Well, unfortunately for everyone, this footprint was not a hint at a future dino season, as we know now, but instead it was actually a part of the Moisty Mire movie. Remember the whole filming movie set in Moisty Mire? I mean, epic, maybe a dino theme in Chapter 2 sometime. I'm not against making it happen, but if you are considering doing it, you'd have to include the most notorious mythical creature in Fortnite history, the biggest myth of all time. Number 1. If you've watched Fortnite videos on YouTube, which obviously you do, you've definitely bumped into something talking about or speculating about a massive Fortnite Kraken. Since the dawn of time, a Kraken has been a huge theory as to what could show up in a live event. Rumors of a Kraken were fueled further by live streams saying Fortnite Kraken event right now or something like that. And even the Season 8 opening cinematic having a Kraken Easter egg, and on the map you could even see the Kraken, which by the way, nice job Epic Games, you're giving the clickbaiter stuff, okay? Looking back, it's quite obvious now that there is no such thing as a Fortnite Sea Kraken, and I'd say there never will be, but next season is underwater themed, so you never know. But this has been Tommy, keep it here, Top 5 Gaming.